Hey, welcome everybody. The stream looks like it's going to start real soon. And if you have access to Kickstarter, you can actually go there right now and submit a question that they will then try to address during the live stream. Okay, so the reason I'm restreaming this is because there's some people that can't watch it on Kickstarter for whatever reason, and whether that's because there's whether you need a VPN, you're out of the country or something, and also because sometimes, or at least last time, they weren't able to upload the live stream in order for people to see for a couple of days. And if you're like me, you kind of want to be up to date and be in the know, so I'm restreaming this right now. But yeah, if you have access, go ahead and you can actually click on subscribe and actually ask them a question, and they will try to address that directly with you. Looks like the stream is going to start in 1 minute and 20 seconds. So if you can hear me just fine, please let me know. I was actually just playing a little video from their Kickstarter campaign, which was, of course, their introductory video about the whole Travel Line series. If you didn't already know, I actually have a couple of videos that I've talked about where I analyzed the content and the different bags that they are introducing in this Kickstarter campaign, and I shared a lot of my thoughts on it. I think I have a couple of things that I'm going to talk about later on about the backpack itself. I don't think I've talked about the camera cubes yet or the actual compression cubes. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and remove myself, and let's make sure that the live stream is actually going to start working. T-minus 14 seconds. Looks like they're also getting ready to get started soon too. There we go.
The second hangout we're doing for the Travel Line Kickstarter here. So we're hoping to show off some prototypes and answer some questions and dig into the design process a little bit. And I'm Art Bouget. I'm the design lead at Peak for the soft goods stuff and the Travel Line here. And this is
Peter Lockett, product manager for the design team and supply chain director.
Right. All right. We're going to give a couple minutes, let people kind of start trickling in. How long do you think we should give?
2 minutes.
2 minutes. 2 minutes. 2 minute warning, guys. And we're going to jump full bore here.
Is this our agenda hit list here?
Yeah, let's roll with that. Or we could have Larry do the management on that.
I'll run through some, and we can do it product by product, so we don't have to scramble as much.
Great. Sounds great. All right. So how it works is we have a list here of questions that people have been asking over the last few days, and we want to make sure that we kind of answer the top questions that people have been putting in there. But on top of that, we have the comments that are live in the video. So if you have questions that you want to ask, throw them in there, and we'll try and get to as many as we can.
Sounds good.
Sweet. Well, why don't we jump right in?
Let's dive in.
Let's do it.
Okay, why don't we start with the 45-liter travel backpack, which we have a few.
Cool. Get them while they're hot.
Cool. Storing and accessing small items such as pins in the backpack without using a tech pouch.
Sure, absolutely. So question is about accessing small items. So in this bag here, there's two places for quick access small items. We have this top little pocket here, which has a soft liner. It's great for sunglasses or kind of a passport quick stash pocket when you're kind of going through airport security. You need somewhere to dump stuff in just a single zip. And then beyond that, we have this more kind of command center style pocket here. Let's see if I can get in there. So that's this large, really cool perforated mesh pocket here. And got this little map book in here, and there's some pen organization in there. You can put 4 pens in just the dedicated pen slots, and more, of course, on the sides. And then 2 kind of medium-sized dump pockets for more this kind of size stuff on the sides. And those are stretch mesh pockets, so you can cram quite a bit in there.
And the idea with the location of where we put this was that you actually don't even need to unzip your front panel that much to get into it. You can just do the bare minimum at the top and still get access to all your goodies.
Yeah, and there is a zip on that because we wanted everything to be kind of secure, especially because this panel can open up all the way. But what I like to do is just leave the zip open if I know that I am going to be in there quite a bit, and then it's just a single zip to open and close that pocket.
Sweet. What do you got next, Larry?
Cool. All right. While we're talking about that bag, can you show off the laptop and tablet section?
Absolutely. So laptop and tablet section, same looking bag, but we pre-packed this one. You can just crack the back here, and you can get into your laptop and tablet area. In this one, we've got an iPad Pro and a laptop, 13-inch, and they fit great. The iPad Pro does not fit in the tablet pocket because that's sized for tablets, and this is the same size as a actual laptop. But we use iPad Pros. We're doing all our sketching around here, so we just pop them in the same pocket, and away we go.
Cool. So yeah. So a little more detail on what we did for this, because I know a lot of people ask. This is a floating laptop sleeve, so it's about 2.5 inches off the bottom of the bag or so. So it's impossible for the bottom of the laptop to hit the ground. And then there's also these expansion pockets on the side here. So if you really stuff this up with, like, you've got one of those dinosaur PC, like 4-inch thick monsters, it should still accommodate it because we have these expansions in here. Likewise, documents and stuff, it can swallow quite a bit in there as well.
But what if I've got my camera gear open in the back here because I've got the flaps down? Am I worried about, damaging my laptop?
Sure. So this is padded with a dense Adelon foam, so it is very protective as well from both sides, because we have a PE board back stiffener, and then it's protected here as well. Cool.
Sweet. Let's talk about the strap materials on the 45-liter backpack. People are asking if we use slip, the adjuster slip.
No. So the strap adjusters on the backpack, we've put a lot of effort into refining the new hardware that's going on these bags here, to the point that it's been like basically a dedicated job from one of our engineers for the last 3 months has basically been refining this piece of hardware. And the reason for that is that this bag holds potentially so much weight with all of the camera gear and everything, and we're using a narrower webbing. So that means that there's less friction in the lockup. And we wanted to keep this nice, smooth, beautiful webbing without having to go to that gnarly, gritty stuff and plastic hardware. We wanted to keep the aluminum hardware on this bag. So we are very, very confident that we've achieved a great lockup.
I think Max said it was 10 miles up and down in the stairwell.
Yeah.
Testing out those pieces of hardware.
Yeah. So
rest assured.
we've done real world testing. We've done individual drop testing. We've done third party testing via our vendors on that. And the new stuff passes with flying colors. So we're super excited about that.
Vic, I'm going to address the viewers real quick. So we know some people are having audio trouble, but some people seem to be okay with it. The whole thing will be on YouTube and timestamped for Hicks and Stu and those guys to answer your questions about. So we're just going to keep going. And if your quality goes in and out, you'll be able to watch the whole thing in HD later on, or at least better quality. So keep rolling. Can you, in addition to the adjusters, could you talk about the straps themselves and what makes them different than the everyday bags?
Sure, absolutely. So we mixed up the construction on these straps from the everyday bag. The geometry is a little bit different because the bag is a little bit different. So They are a new foam construction. They're a little bit softer and have a little bit less structure than the everyday straps do. And we are using a new back material. This stuff is pretty cool. It's actually a jacquard knit air mesh, spacer mesh. So it's actually something that is commonly used for like high-end sneakers and stuff. So it's really, really durable. And the reason we wanted to go with that is because we just felt like with a travel bag, you'll probably notice we're actually using exterior fabric for our back panel here. And the reason for that is just a travel bag just takes a crazy amount of abuse, especially if it's something that you're checking, which this bag is designed to be able to check and hold up great. So all materials on this are just kind of a little bit overbuilt because of that. So beyond that, there's a little bit different foam distribution, again, just because of the geometry of the bag, but we brought the features that people liked the best about the everyday line straps that made sense. We have the same sternum straps, the kind of gear lash loops where you can stow the sternum straps on there. And one thing that is different is we're doing these kind of little keeper loops on the ends of all the straps. So what that allows you to do is feed the webbing in there like that, and it keeps the end of the strap from dangling and kind of dragging on the ground, which is, I think, a great feature when you're like cruising through gnarly bus stations and stuff. You don't want just like mopping the floor with your straps is kind of gross. So that, and in addition to that, we also have our waist straps for the first time ever, a padded waist strap on our bags. That is complete with a new hook hardware that we've designed for this. It's this kind of G-hook style anodized aluminum hardware. And that has the keeper loop as well. Really cool is that these guys rotate the same way that our top shoulder straps do. And that is super important when you're carrying a lot of weight because then basically every time you step, your hips rock up and down. So you're not lifting the entire bag when you're walking. So it's actually a really, really comfortable carry for, I mean, this isn't a full backpacking harness. That's not what this bag is designed for, but it really does carry quite a bit of weight really well. I think people are going to be excited about that. So beyond that, we have a stretch mesh zipper pocket here for stashing like filters and, you know, snacks or, you know, whatever. Batteries, SD cards, mini cards, who knows. And then on the other side, we have a spot for capture or a lens pouch on this side. And these are pretty cool. It's these laminated webbing wrapped pieces so everything stays nice and clean and we don't have like a ton of webbing all over the bag. That's kind of the goal. So.
Cool. Lockett, you want to put it on real quick? Sure. And attach the waist strap? We've got some requests to see it on different side people, which we can halfway accommodate today just with some people who are in here, but also it's a thing that's on the to-do list to add to the page. So we might not spin our wheels too hard on that.
Yeah. So
how tall are you, Lockett? 6'2", 200.
6'1.5".
Yeah.
Yeah, all right. I'm like 6 foot.
So on Lockett, you can see it almost carries like a day pack. He's a big dude. He's got a big chest and really proportionate on me. I'm 5'6", so it's going to feel a bit more like a travel backpack. Like I'm really trying to haul a bunch of gear in here. As you can see here. I'm Danny DeVito in this situation for sure.
Rachel, would you mind putting it on the first?
Yeah.
Here, I'd like to see it on.
Me.
Rachel, introduce yourself.
Hi, I'm Rachel.
What do you do?
I'm part of the design team working on backpacks.
There it is.
Such.
Compressed there.
How are you, Rachel?
5'10".
So Rachel's 5'10", and so definitely some different size frames here. And it's interesting because we wanted to, just as far as like why we made choices on the back panel, we wanted to keep the harness pretty simple in that we don't have load lifters, because if you have load lifters, then it makes stowing the straps a real pain. And there's just like so much dangly webbing and stuff. So we worked really hard with the fit to try and accommodate the widest range of sizes we could, and being comfortable for all those people without going crazy with like a more complicated adjustable harness and stuff. The reason for that is that this isn't like a hiking backpack. It's not really designed to be something that you're wearing for hiking 15 miles and carrying it for 10 miles a day. It's based on kind of where we found that how long we carry a bag when we travel, which is somewhere, you're topping out at maybe 5 miles or something like that, and it's more sporadic when you're carrying it. So yeah, that's kind of some of our design decisions there.
A question people have, or a few people have about the 45-liter bag is, can you attach a slide strap or use one of the built-in straps to carry it over the shoulder, single strap, double style?
Yeah, it's not really something that I think you could attach a slide strap to it. I mean, I'm hesitant to recommend that just because the bag can get potentially so heavy with the expansion, and camera gear is heavy. So I think that's kind of a try it at your own discretion if you feel like you have an appropriate amount of weight in there. These loops will hold quite a bit of weight on there, so I wouldn't worry about those failing necessarily, but just they're designed, they're camera straps, they're not huge duffel straps, so just keep that in mind. We didn't include a third-party strap or really or like a dedicated shoulder strap on this. This really was designed as a backpack first and foremost, and it's actually like, you'll see there's other travel backpacks out there where they'll do like a C-style opening where you kind of open it this way and it folds open. And that's all great if all you're doing is using the backpack as a more suitcase style thing. But this really was designed to kind of like blur that line between a backpack that's really great to work out of and carry like all day and like have great access when it's, right in front of you, and also like if you get to a hotel or whatever and it's just sitting on the bed and that's all it does. So
a question I actually meant to ask when you guys were doing the laptop stuff. Someone had asked if you could fit a thin laptop and a 13-inch iPad Pro in the same section of the laptop sleeve.
That's what we did.
yes,
Okay.
absolutely. And we recommend that. There is a dedicated tablet sleeve, and the reason we made the tablet sleeve smaller is because generally we find the larger iPads, people have a case on those because they're so fragile at that point. Anyways, so the smaller ones though, maybe not as much. So there is a dedicated normal size iPad sleeve in there, just not for the iPad Pro.
And then on the laptop section still, a few questions about, can you put a hydration bladder?
Sure. Yeah, you could put a hydration bladder in there. You can also put a hydration bladder into the front pocket of the backpack as well. And then you just route the hose like out one of the zippers and then bring it through these loops. That's kind of what these loops are for there.
Also, depending on how you have your bag packed out, you could put it in the side pocket.
Yeah, and actually, I mean, I would just consider this like I've been on at least a half dozen camping trips or backpacking trips where someone has had a backpack with a hydration bladder and it's exploded in their bag and soaked all of their stuff. So in general, I wouldn't recommend putting a hydration bladder in with your camera gear. So if you can, these side pockets are massive. So if you can get a smaller hydration bladder, or even they make Nalgene's with the hose, I would recommend that just to like potentially save your gear, because hydration bladders do fail.
I think you could get 2 liters in there, and you could even clip it up here.
Yep.
And then hang it in the pocket too.
Totally.
And it would just kind of make its own shape.
Yep. Yeah, that'd be a good setup.
Could we do a demo both of compression and expansion and talk about the ease in which you can do both of those?
Sure,
Yeah.
absolutely.
Why don't you
Where's that
compress on this and walk expand on this guy?
black one? I think this one, or is that, yeah, actually this one. I want to show it on this just because this is the only one that does it perfectly. So this is the neutral state of the bag here. You can see it's, the top and the bottom are roughly the same depth. And that is max carry-on size right now, basically. I mean, whatever that means, it's like different for every airline a little bit. But what we've determined to be the safe thing for 99% of airlines, you're going to be able to get this bag on board. Some people have been asking questions about certain carriers are way more tough about this than others, and particularly in some smaller regional European flights are a little bit tough about that. So you're going to have to kind of make your own judgment about that. But in general, it is way easier to get a backpack on a plane than a roller, and that's what this bag is all about, is trying to sneak it on the plane. So this is max carry-on size right now. This is the compressed state. So as you can see, there's some snaps here. And basically what you do is you just fold that in like so. You line up the snaps, and that slims the pack up pretty considerably. And maybe why don't you try that on and just kind of.
And I've seen some people with comments about that the snaps come undone pretty easily. Like they're snapped together. Those aren't just coming off on the grill.
Yeah, no, they're so there's also the way that top compression panel works. There's really no natural load on those snaps, unless, I mean, if they come undone, it's because the bag is too full to be compressed, basically. But with weight, they shouldn't pop free, and they're actually pretty sturdy. So you can see that's kind of like the day packable mode there. It's I don't know if you guys are familiar with GoRuck, but it's like pretty comparable to like the size of a GoRuck GR1 in that state, but in its expanded state, as you'll see, it's like significantly larger. So that just pops the snaps loose, and then the expansion mode is these little zips on the side here. And in order to show that off, I'm gonna need a pillow. I'm gonna grab one of those. 1 second.
I'm a slow fan of the shelving system. Nice.
So
Look at all those prototype bags.
when your office is based in San Francisco, horizontal surfaces are at a premium. So you gotta go vertical with all your storage to make the numbers work for the rent,
So Art, while you're doing that, is there a drainage hole at the bottom of those side pockets?
Yes, there is.
There is. Okay.
Yes.
No questions? Or-
Yeah, so there's a drainage hole at the bottom of these pockets, so any water that goes into there will find its way out the bottom there.
Cool. And when you mentioned a second ago about that bag being good for snaps, that's because this is one of the most recent that we've gotten off the assembly line. Is that correct?
Yeah, so it was just fine tuning for some stuff here. So I think actually like in the Kickstarter video and all of the photos, the top compression looks kind of rumply and crappy. It's just, we didn't have it quite dialed in yet. So this one is a little bit better. That's all.
All right. Expanded.
Expanded.
There you go. Cool.
There you go.
So this is about 45 liters in that state. So it's a real amount of gear. It's I really wouldn't want to go any larger than that without it's the harness. This is about maxed out for the harness and everything that I think you'd want to go. Beyond that, you'd really need like some aluminum stays in the bag and some load lifters and a more robust suspension in general. So
Why don't you hit the expansion one more time?
oh yeah, cool stuff. So there's expansion, like so. So you can see it fills this out about 6 or 7 centimeters, I believe, and it does it in a nice way. We did it with having the 2 side zips versus having a full perimeter zip. When you do the full perimeter zip, it kind of boxes the bag out, and it gets really it just doesn't look, and it doesn't keep the weight close to your body, and it looks weird, and it also breaks the structure between the load and the rest of the harness. So the whole thing actually would sag down, basically. A little behind the scenes there.
Cool. Why don't we talk about the external carry straps? People want to know both more about their usage and also how many come with that.
Sure, absolutely.
Maybe how they're different than
We want to
everyday
back
bag.
up front of this thing.
Pillow. No.
Do we have some sort of blanket or something like that?
So here's some rolls of leather.
Something to strap. All right, so we redesigned the, yeah, sure, for when you're transporting your leather. So we redesigned the external carry straps for this bag for a couple of reasons. One of them is just on a carry bag, you'll notice like we don't have any, all the pockets on this are zippered, and that's because the bag is changing state quite a bit, whether it's getting like stuffed into something or it's getting tilted upside down. That's why there's handles all over the place. But because of that, we wanted a really secure external carry strap. So we designed this flat hook kind of hardware that's based actually on our sternum straps. And what's cool about it is it clicks into place. I don't know if you can hear that beautiful, finely tuned click like that. And that basically allows you to strap whatever. This is really, I mean, like I think the situation that's the most handy for this is if you're traveling somewhere that is really cold. Like I know, like when I went to Iceland, basically your jacket would basically fill a carry-on because it's so cold. Then you need like a real amount of insulation. So this is a great way to just strap extra gear to the top of the bag. Beyond that, there are there's attachment points. There's 6 attachment points on the front of the bag. There's 2 on the bottom, so you can lash things to the bottom of the bag.
Show that.
Yeah, sure. So as you can see, these things are really, really quick and easy to change around. Click, click, and then you're in business. Cool. Great. And there's also 2 more attachment loops at the top of the bag as well. And if you're doing any stuff with ropes or climbing, again, like this is not like a dedicated outdoor bag, but I know people will do it because our customers are amazing. But it actually allows you to, with these little loops that are inside the pockets here, you can lash over the top of a big hank of rope on top there. And then beyond that, we have this guy here and this one here in the pocket. So you put a leg of a tripod, or if it's a travel tripod, you can actually fit an entire, I've got a Gitso travel tripod here. So I bet I can put this whole thing in there, like so. And I've got my loop in there. Pop that on the loop. And I wrap that around to this loop here, like so. And you crank down on that. And that is really, really secure. Very similar to the everyday backpack. It worked out pretty well. Everyone liked that style of carry. It gives a lot of versatility without having to have a really weird, deployable, dedicated tripod pocket, which a lot of people, you know, may not be using or may only use once a year, or you know. So it's nice to have that versatility. These side bottle pockets, as a result of needing to be so large for the tripod, will fit like a full 32-ounce Nalgene bottle on both sides. So
Full liter of cola.
a whole liter of cola.
Wait, before we jump into that, just
It's your big gulp.
bragging about the side pockets a little bit more. Our side pockets also expand out, so if you have a full bag and you want to shove a Nalgene in the side, all of the room is created on the outside of the bag.
Or some Method all-purpose surface cleaner.
Yes, we plugged it finally. Get off our back.
So,
But they just swallow things really well.
Yeah.
And that has to do with the fact that there's this gusseted expansion zone in the back of the pocket.
yeah.
What else is back there?
There's also this nifty secret stash pocket too that goes inside your pocket. Now, if you have a lot of things in that pocket and are trying to jam a lot of things in your side pocket, you're going to be competing for space. But it's great when you lay the bag down and you want to get into your side pocket, put a little something that you want to hide, like your iPhone or something like that. Bingo, you're done.
And that's actually a lot of volume because it's the way these side pockets are constructed. It's an entire front and back panel, so it's actually like a whole balloon of fabric basically. So you can actually fit quite a bit of stuff in there.
And are there magnets on the side pocket, or is it all just from the stretch of the material that it stays flat?
We didn't do magnets on this one. There's an elastic band and there's a little foam stiffener that keeps things pretty straight on there. Just didn't seem like it needed it. One thing I wanted to point out that I didn't point out about the harness before that I think is a little bit difficult to understand in some of like the photos and stuff. But so the waist belt stows behind this flap here, right? A great way to, if you know you're going to be carrying the bag for like a long distance with the waist strap, a great way to give a better, basically you just fold these wings in like so. And that just gives a little bit more cushion on your back and a smaller contact surface. So it just kind of cuts down on the sweat a little bit more. So that is kind of how I would recommend carrying the backpack if you're in kind of like a long distance kind of cruising mode.
Pro tip.
We got
That
a
also, quick fun thing, you can actually stuff this in here and still tuck these guys underneath if you don't want the waist belt, but do want the smaller waist belt thing like that. Cool.
Rainfly?
Very Transformers. Yeah, Rainfly. I think that Rainfly was
Flying around somewhere.
flying over there. Oh,
Incoming.
Here we go. All right. I think this is the latest one. We'll see. That's the latest one. All right. So Rainfly. Rainfly stuffs in its own little stuff sack here. What's cool about that is it also has these little snaps on there like that. And what you can do is basically rig this up to those same external carry points that the external carry straps attach to. By the way, those external carry straps, when you're attached to here, they live up in this magnetic pocket here. So they're quickly deployable. You don't have to like pull them out of the inside of the bag somewhere. This Rainfly, same deal. Stuffs up in there like so. So
There's
when
like a huge pillow stuff in there right now. So.
right, yeah, and this is like super packed out right now. So when it starts raining, you just pull that out like so, and that will deploy like that. Cool. And a couple of fun things about the Rainfly. We're using the same hardware that we do on our Shell camera cover here, which is this piece of hardware that basically allows you to pull to tighten and then pull to release, which is kind of cool. So it's like a one-handed tighten thing. When that's coming around the bag, also, which is kind of nice, the flap from this thing will cover that ugly puckered edge. So it ends up looking pretty darn clean. We're adjusting this pattern a little bit so it'll have a little bit less of this stuff, but that's just me being fussy.
Rainfly works with the bag expanded.
Rainfly works with the bags expanded and compressed, yeah. This is not quite expanded, but yeah, it does.
And what, just for any of the material nerds out there, what is the Rainfly made out of?
Sure. So this fabric on top here, ooh, what is the denier on this one? Joey, what is this one again?
It's
The 170. It's like, is it chicken?
why don't you check the bottom?
I can't remember the exact denier on this. I think it's 160, and then the bottom is 220. So what's kind of cool, and when we were kind of doing research on rainflies, one of the biggest complaints that people have about them is they're designed to just be purely ultralight, and what that means is that if you actually use the thing more than once in a blue moon, the bottom of the bag gets absolutely shredded because there's a lot of weight in the bag and it's getting set down in the rainfly, and you'll get a bunch of holes in the bottom of the bag. So we used a patch of 220D burlier CPH weave nylon, and then a lighter weight ripstop, which is much more of a kind of a traditional rainfly fabric, although a little bit higher quality than what I think most folks out there are doing. Kind of cool. We did a white pigment on the liner just to kind of help you see which side's which a little bit better. Keeps things, if it's dark, kind of a little bit more visible.
And if you've got things attached using external carriers, that's you can say pretty acceptable for that.
Depends what you get attached.
Depends on what you have attached. Also depends on how packed the bag is. If the bag is expanded and you have stuff on the outside of the bag, you're probably not going to be attaching too much stuff to the rainfly. That being said, some of these external carry loops are still accessible when the rainfly is on. There's actually a couple on the back of the bag here, so you might be able to finagle something, but in general, yeah, I think the rainfly is designed to carry the bag, not the bag with a bunch of stuff strapped to it.
And can your external carry straps, even if they're stowed, be attached
Yes.
at the same time as the rainfly?
Yes, they can. So you can see I've got both attached on there, which is nice.
And if you were caught in the rain and you did have something you wanted to carry on the outside of the bag, I would transfer that to the bottom of the bag and then use the rainfly on the top side.
Right.
Oh, right. Yeah, there you go.
Here.
Right. What he was saying is if you did need to strap something, you could strap it to the bottom of the bag and then just have the rainfly kind of go over the top and leave the bottom of the bag exposed, because it doesn't really matter if the bottom of the bag gets wet.
And let's address rainfly compatibility with everyday backpacks. That's actually a thing that gets updated on the page based on getting newer samples of the rainfly.
Right. So some people have asked about the rainfly on the everyday backpack. The rainfly is primarily designed for the travel backpack. It does fit the 30-liter pretty darn well. It's a little bit looser than it is on the travel backpack, as you'd assume, but it's something that we consider to be acceptable. The 20-liter, though, it's just a little sloppy, honestly. So
We're not really encouraging that as a combination of products.
Yeah. So that's the 30-liter with rainfly. It just pulls around the back a little bit more. So that's with the top a little bit expanded, even if it's not. I think I can do this when it's on. Even if it's a little bit more compressed, it certainly isn't the end of the world, because everything just kind of wraps around pretty well. So that's the 30-liter everyday backpack. Cool.
Cool. Why don't we move on, because we're burning through some time here, to some packing tools. And we start with the camera cubes, because those are loaded up right there.
Loaded up. Should we start with the smalls?
Yeah, small. So one question we've got is 2 small camera cubes in the backpack. Is that possible to do?
With side carry.
With side carry.
So repeating the question, 2 small camera cubes in the backpack with side carry. You rig them up like this, back to back, and you use the C-clips. Victor, I don't know if you can get in there to see that stuff. And then once they're here and you're zipped, you can get in to the sides. My Mavic here. You can get into the sides and you can get to your side access. What's nice is these side panels or side pockets cover the top of your small camera cube really snugly. Whether you just have two back-to-back that are basically pushing out against the face, or you're using these C-clips because they were designed in order to keep a nice snug fit, which allows you to have this panel open so you're not opening two panels every time you have to go in your bag.
We had a side access question regarding if you're using the side pocket for a tripod, are you still able to get into the side?
That's a great question. Depends how big your tripod is, because you're going to get in the way of the top of your zipper. But for instance, on this guy, we shove that in. You're able to come around. Oops. Showing it to the world doesn't really make it. Isn't good for not having things fall out. But yeah, you're able to get in there, which is the kind of stuff that we think about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you know that you're going to be using side access a lot through one particular side, I would probably recommend putting the tripod in the opposite side. But if you want both sides access plus tripod, another option is to strap tripod to the front of the bag as well. But it definitely works.
Rocket, could you open that up again and show us what you got at the top of your kit?
Sure. Nothing like going on a trip with a bag in a bag, because the 5-liter sling fits perfectly in the top of this bag. This is a great travel companion. Whether you're going to put your drone in it, your daily carry, or your camera, or all of them at the same time. There's actually ways of making it all fit, especially because if you feel like you're running out of room, and you can always take your camera out of your bag and put a capture here with the, and then carry your camera on the outside.
Great little travel kit. I travel a lot with this backpack and a 10-liter sling as well. If you just, you need like a little bit larger day bag, that is a great travel companion. The slings are an excellent pair with this bag. The 10-liter doesn't fit as like perfectly puzzle piece as this one does, as the 5-liter here, but it's still just a great kind of wing bag, as we really like to call it. So.
And the 5-liter is pretty comparable, both in dimensions and to a small camera.
It is.
Like
It's pretty similar.
5 liters.
Yeah, the small camera inserts are a little bit longer and more cubic. The sling is like a tiny bit taller and shorter.
And Art, when you were just talking about the 10-liter sling, do you store it in your travel backpack, or do you carry it separately?
I just carry it separate.
Yeah.
Yeah, it works really well just on a shoulder. I cinch the sling up and I kind of carry it like this on my backpack, and then with the backpack on it, it's great.
And while we're talking about small camera cubes, we've gotten a few questions about if you've got small camera cubes in, what else do you do in terms of medium camera cube or medium packing cube, and you want that side access.
Sure. Let's do this while I'm doing one of the sides here. We can show how that's done. You've got these C clips that, here's the C clip. They're spring loaded, and so you can slide them on, close it down, close the gate, and you're locked in. Just a very simple clip.
How many clips come with each pouch?
4 with each camera cube.
Yeah.
I think it's 6 with the large, isn't it?
6 with the large.
6 with the large, and then 4 with the smalls and the medium. So one thing to note about that question, the question being when you have a small in here, it's important to note that the medium does have side access as well. So if you had a medium camera cube, I would just use the medium as your side access. It actually has side access on both sides, as does the large. So I would just use the medium camera cube for your side access, and then just keep the small up top for your kind of stuff that you don't need to access quite as
I want
much.
you to see the difference between these two.
Oh yeah, so size-wise, yeah, you can see this is just a little bit taller and a little bit shorter, but pretty similar volume-wise.
So then if you had an open canvas here, Art, and you wanted some packing cubes and having this oriented in this direction.
Yeah. So a couple of different ways to do it. Let me think. First of all, this can go in the front panel.
Let's do that.
Fun fact. When it's in its compressed state, it will fit when the bag is expanded. I could definitely just put this in there. Like clothes are squishy, and not everything always has to be perfectly kind of stacked out. But when this is in its expanded state, you can actually fit two. And you could fit another guy up here as well in the front, which is like
That's a packing cube that is not expanded.
yeah, that's an unexpanded
Pushing it a little bit.
Yeah, 5% might be pushing it, but
We can put one of these guys.
yeah, but you can definitely put like a toiletry kit in the front as well, like so. Depending on how, I mean, everything is amorphous. These volumes in the bag aren't like a perfect fixed thing. So like if the main volume of the bag is completely packed out, you might have a tough time doing that, but or like overpacked. Yeah.
But Juan has a really interesting question that relates to that. He was asking if a medium packing cube and a medium camera cube would work together if the packing cube is not expanded, which is essentially what we're almost showing right here. Main volume, you can put a camera cube in there, and then if unexpanded packing cube, you stay in that front.
Right, it is, so that just lengthwise, the medium packing cube, here's a medium camera cube, and the medium packing cube is here.
Right.
So it is going to be, as you can see here, the length doesn't quite link up. So, I mean, it just depends on how full the thing is and how like perfectly you want everything to fit, but like you definitely get it in there. But yeah, I think that's where putting it into the front of the bag or going with a small packing cube would be a better fit.
And while you've got both camera cubes and packing cubes out, can you talk about the materials and how they relate to the material on the outside of the backpack?
Yeah, absolutely. So the camera cubes are the same fabric as our black bag. So this is a 200D nylon with what is called a CPH weave, which means that it's essentially a horizontal ripstop pattern. That is good for abrasion resistance because it kind of keeps the abrasion above the main structure of the fabric. That's too technical. Don't worry about that. But basically, so it's a 200D nylon, which is about half the weight of the fabric of the main outside of the bag. And what we wanted to do is pick a fabric that we felt was designed to live inside a bag, but when you pulled it out and if you rig these up onto, like, let's say a slide camera strap or something like that, which these are compatible with our anchors, that it's going to be durable enough to hold up to being used as its own bag. Another common use case that we think about is like traveling with this and filling this bag and checking it, and then traveling with this as your carry-on for folks who are just like, like you don't like to, no one likes to check camera gear. That's not an ideal situation. So basically like pull your camera gear out, clothes go in there, and then basically when you get to your destination, you have the option of camera or clothing. Basically the backpack becomes filled with clothing only on the in and out part of your destination, and then you can do camera gear the whole rest of the time.
Hicks is asking about the zips on those camera cubes. If you were to be wearing them on their own with a strap, what sort of weather resistance might you be getting?
So these are not a weather coated zipper for a number of reasons. We wanted them to be really, really quick and easy to open, and the traditional reverse coil YKK zips are just a little bit smoother and quicker to get into than the coated zip. So we didn't do the coated zips on the camera cubes. Again, assuming that they're going to be living in the bag the majority of the time. A little bit about fabrics on these. These are the packing cubes, or should we just dive head first into the packing cubes? Or we?
Yeah, the only other real camera cube.
Do you want to talk about
Discussing the flex fold and
Yeah, let's do
the
that.
dividers a little more.
Do you want to move this like right here?
Okay. Yeah. Sure.
Did you like them here and here? Or do you like
They work fine actually both, so that's totally fine. He's gonna rig up a camera strap here to show kind of some of the camera strap carry options on it.
While you're talking about weather resistance of the zips, the tech and wash pouch, what about theirs? Are they the same zips?
The tech and the wash pouch actually do have weather resistant zippers on those. The reason being on the tech pouch, obviously, it's carrying a lot of important stuff, and on the wash pouch, just because they look cool and we like them. That's pretty much it. But all the zippers are like oversized on those. They're number 8s on a pretty small pouch, so they're definitely they're meant to built to last. That's a big goal with those. As far as the dividers, this thing is loaded in here. Just kind of, this is a full Nikon kit. I've got a backup body, it's a D600, and then I've got a gripped D800 here with a 70-200 2.8 on there. You can see how the camera cubes were essentially designed around this camera. So they should perfectly fit lengthwise and height-wise. You can see we're definitely, for a gripped camera or a flagship DSLR, we're like right up to the top, which is nice because we really wanted to be able to accommodate a huge range of gear without having to have multiple depths with the inserts. So, and then beyond that, there's actually going to be likely, we're still sorting out some of the divider final details, but 3 different divider designs. I wish I had a couple loose ones. One sec, Rachel's going to sort me out here. But we basically have a large divider, thank you, which looks like this. And basically all this one does is providing kind of a frame to build everything else around. So it's quite a bit thicker and stiffer than the rest of the dividers. It has some brakes here, and then Velcro on the sides and on the bottom to really lock it into place. And then this is really just a thing that we thought looked pretty cool, so did that. And these are the medium dividers, and these guys have the same shelves as the rest of the kind of everyday line dividers. So they basically go into the bag like this, and then if you need to divide the pocket in this direction, they fold down like so, and then you can fit a lens here and a lens here, or batteries and cables or whatever, like very similar to the everyday backpack dividers. You can see that here I actually have a small lens in a shelf, and that allows me to basically be like battery in the bottom of the pocket, shelf down, and then lens on top. And now I can really fill those pockets to the brim, which is great. Third type of divider is just these little guys that are more of a traditional, just straight divider on the sides. We do give a little bit of Velcro on the bottom just to keep everything really locked into place. And those are just, the kind of micro adjust little separator guys. So, and then with that, here's kind of how we recommend setting up the medium and large dividers, which is with the camera at the main, at the side access door. So you open up that door like so, and then you can pull this big boy out like that while you're wearing the pack, and plop it right back into place. In addition to that, there's actually, this is the last piece of the puzzle that we're including here. And this is, we're calling these floating pockets. And basically what you can do is put them on either the side of the camera insert. This one like is so packed out, there's barely room for it. So I actually have it on the door here. But so on this one, I've got it. It just lets you put it wherever you want, basically. So there's a little Velcro closure tab there. I've got a lens wipe and a couple of SD cards. There's a little SD card pocket and then just a big dump to put stuff in there as well. So nice for your kind of things that you want to have quick access to, and then you get to decide where you want to put this.
Cool. I think that's a pretty good and thorough look at the camera cubes.
Cool.
In the interest of time, maybe we do the only packing cube question I see outstanding is if there could be an easier way to describe how much each size fits. Are either of those packed out to the brim? Those are pretty. It's not a very huge load on either of those.
These.
I'm not on the packing cubes.
Sorry. Oh, on the packing cubes. I can get there quickly. Cool. So these are the packing cubes. This is the medium size, and this is the small size. The way the sizing works is basically the medium is double the size of the small, and both cubes have a expansion zipper, which works like this. And when the cube is expanded, it's double the size of when it's compressed. So it's nice to have some geometry that kind of works out and talks to each other. And so what I have in here right now, so there's the tear open zipper on this. Let me see how many. We're just using t-shirts to pack these out right now. Obviously, I wouldn't bring 12 t-shirts when I'm traveling, but it's a good kind of.
He loves t-shirts.
I love t-shirts so much. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think these are large t-shirts actually, which I do not wear. But
do you want to add more in there to show?
Yeah. So let me show where these were packed out when it was compressed here, real quick. So when that's compressed, I think I can actually get probably another t-shirt in there. It's not even like that packed out. So that's 6 large t-shirts in the small. My guess is that means there's probably at least 12 in this one, if not more, just because you get a little bit more kind of footballing, as we call it. So then in expanded mode, I really recommend when you are packing these guys up to pack it in expanded mode. And then if you can compress it, great. And if you can't, that's fine too. It still totally works. 3. And the expansion mode is kind of cool because this is a stretch zipper. So you can see, like, you can really load this thing like
12 t-shirts.
Like too much. So that's 12 t-shirts, and it's like kind of like stretchy and expanding and stuff, but like, hell yeah, you can get it in there. So that ends up being very similar size to the small camera inserts when it's all packed out. It's a little lumpy, but you get the drift. And that's nice because it lets it breathe when it's really, there's just a lot of stuff in there. And yeah, and then we've got the dirty side as well, which you may or may not have seen in the video, but basically that lets you take your dirties as you go through your trip, and then transfer them to the dirty side, like so. And it's really nice because then when you just get home, I just like open this guy up and it's just like straight into the laundry from that side. It's nice. Cool.
In the interest of time, why don't we look at the tech pouch?
Great.
Yes.
Tech pouch is a popular item.
The Tech Pouch. Tech Pouch, as I've been calling it. So the Tech Pouch is, I mean, as far as if you're a little bit OCD with organization, this is the bag for you. I think it has like 20 different pockets in here. The big trick with it is it's really easy to put a ton of pockets into something and have everything just kind of fight for space and have it be a pain in the ass to like take cables and have to wrap them and shove them in some little elastic band thing. The best part of this is just like the ability to kind of bundle stuff up and just shove it in these big pockets here, and then it just sorts itself out when everything is closed. It is lightly padded with a perforated EVA foam, so it's quite light considering that it's a padded bag, because we pulled a lot of that foam out there but kept the structure. So here's one that's packed out. And it has this raw laminated span material, so everything is really stretchy and foldy, and it's like easy to pack all the pockets out. And yeah, it's just kind of a joy to use. The other great thing about it is that it's a really small footprint. So if you're like, you know, working in a coffee shop or on a plane or something, or a train, and you're like tight for space, it like can just come over your keyboard actually, which is really nice. And yeah, we've really been enjoying it. So it's got some pen elastic bands for pens up here. I've got kind of like a lens pen on this top one here. There's an internal zipper pocket, which has SD card slots and is just great for these little nightmares here. And
what prevents, you have all these pockets, but when it's closed, what prevents stuff going from one pocket to another?
Yeah, so when it's closed, basically everything goes right up to the top of the bag, and all of that elastic material really encapsulates everything. And yeah, it's kind of amazing for how much stuff you can fit in here. Things really don't migrate around in the bag, which we were really happy about with that. There's a quick kind of stash external pocket, which is great for like passports, or if you need somewhere to stash your phone or something like that. And there's a charging cable pass-through for that as well. You put a battery bank in there and then stash your phone in here and plug it in and you're charged. So
Would you say that it's a complete dongle solution?
I would say that it is the complete dongle carry solution. Cool. So yeah, this is, I mean, without a doubt, it's the piece in the line that we get the most oohs and ahs about, which is kind of funny because it's just a cable bag, but it's one of those things that every single person who sees it, they're just like, oh my god, I need one of those for sure.
And does it fit in our existing bag?
Yes. So this guy fits really, really nicely in our everyday bags as well. If you have just, which is, you know, kind of crazy with like, there's so much organization here, but if you're doing like GoPro, like, I don't know if you guys have shot any GoPro stuff, but you just end up with so much small stuff. If you're doing some sort of stuff that involves a lot of tiny objects that need to get organized, like this is the jam right here.
I mean, there are a handful of questions we've gotten about what it can fit from like a bigger hardware side. Someone or a number of people are very persistent in asking about the Nintendo Switch. Won't fit with the controllers on. I bet if you took the controllers off, you could put one in.
Actually, don't know the size of this.
We can get into that. I think it probably is going to be a little bit small for that. I'm curious. I'm curious if the wash pouch would actually be a great fit for it. I mean, it's a little bit weird. So the wash pouch is like designed to be a dedicated toiletry kit, basically, but it's such a versatile space that I know people are going to end up using it for other stuff as well, because it's just such an open format. As you can see, there's less organization in this than there is in the tech pouch. Still have a lot of great pockets on the sides here with this perforated mesh. Everything is silicone coated in here, so it's all really easy to wipe clean, which I think is super important for a toiletry kit. More of those pockets on this side, and then really cool, there's a magnetic spot for your toothbrush, or I mean anything that is small and you need to grab quickly. So that's a really great little feature. There's also an additional zipper pocket inside for really small stuff like Q-tips and nail clippers and that kind of stuff goes in here. And fun feature, because that is a toothbrush pocket, obviously you're going to need to be able to get in there and clean it every once in a while. There's these little cord loops in the corners. So you go whoop, like that. That pulls out the cord loops in the corners, and then you can run that under the sink and get it all clean, which is a nice feature. On top of that, there's a external pocket up here, which is perfect for a razor or an electric shaver, or, I mean, it's kind of a medium long size pocket. But the idea being that if you have a razor or a shaver, you keep any stubbly stuff out of the whole rest of the bag. So it's really nice and isolated. It never even goes into the bag, which is great. A couple fun details on this. We've got the anodized hook here, which is really like nice. It just faces you open, and it's super easy to load up, and yeah, use it all the time. And that stores. Yeah. Any other questions on that?
I think we're good for now. It is about 5 o'clock our time.
Cool.
So it's good to keep these at about an hour so that they can be timestamped and referenced, especially by Hicks and Stu and all the guys on the comments board. One question that we didn't resolve. What color do you guys like best?
Ooh, what's your personal one going to be?
I think I'm going to do a little bit of a mix. I think I'm probably going to do black on the backpack just because I like to roll pretty low key when I travel. Even though this is a very low key color though. It's kind of this chameleon gray in some lights, green in some lights. It can be very outdoorsy. It can be a little bit
Also asked about seeing a
heritage, military, if you're into that sort of thing as well.
It's a subtle green.
Yeah.
And one thing that is nice is that the zips and all the webbing matches the sage colorway, whereas on the ash, that's like a high contrast, kind of a little louder of a combination.
Yeah.
Monochrome.
Yeah, actually we went, the goal with these bags was to go full monochrome with the colorways, which is actually kind of a pain in the ass to pull off, honestly, because it means you have to color match like 15 different types of fabric and stuff. But it really, I mean, we try to keep the design on these bags as clean as possible, but I mean, they are obviously full featured bags. They are just packed with, great useful features. And, that can really make a bag look pretty just visually cluttered. So the monochrome colorways really, really clean everything up, I think. So, and to the point that like we're doing laminated handles and stuff. These are actually really crazy. These are fabric wrapped padded webbing handles that are done with a lamination process to just have the handles blend into the bag. So it just keeps everything really clean. Yeah.
Blatter, what's your color?
I think I would split my wash kit up between my wash kit and tech pouch. Definitely because the shapes are similar.
One green, one black.
One green, one black, and I think I've also been drifting towards the black, but that's just because I get my stuff really dirty, which is probably not a good reason because this wouldn't show dirt nearly as much as black.
Yeah, the Sage Pride hides dirt better.
Yeah.
Actually, especially with the melange. So.
Also, maybe I'll actually go sage just to be different
Yeah.
in the office because we can't match everywhere we go.
Yeah. I have this exact shirt. We got this shirt custom
He was supposed to wear it
in,
today, actually.
in Vietnam, and we were gonna go full twins, but I backed out at the last minute. Left you hanging.
Oh, but I heard Joey talking about the wash pouch does have an accented bar tag. So
Yes.
if you do them both in the same color, you can
point.
color them apart.
That is
Totally possible.
yeah. So this isn't final colors, but basically, if
Here.
nice, that also makes a great football. These guys, this is the wash pouch in black, and this is the tech pouch in black, and you can see it has these accent gray bar tacks on the ends here, and that helps you kind of quickly differentiate the two. In addition to that, they're actually fairly different sizes. The wash pouch is a little bit deeper and a little bit longer than the tech pouch.
And what dictated that?
Toothbrushes and just like the organization of razors and stuff. It's kind of silly, but yeah, it's really difficult to make a toiletry kit that's any shorter than this just because of the length of toothbrushes. So that's what it is. But we felt like that was too big for the tech patch, so we decided to differentiate the sizes a little bit.
Cool. Well, I think that will do it for us today. As always, if you guys have more questions, continue to post those on the comments section, and also save them for our next Hangout. Maybe we'll do one next week. One time a week seems to be about as much as we can handle, with also having to continue to finish making all this stuff. So we'll try and balance that out. And thanks so much for joining us. Thank you, Office, for staying quiet while we filmed it.
Absolutely.
Thank you, everybody.
Thank you for tuning in, guys. Really appreciate it. Don't forget to share with your friends.
Cool. Thank you, guys. Appreciate it. We'll see you next time.
Bye.
Wow, well done. That was really good, impressive. Answered a lot of questions there. So, as you saw, they covered a lot of the questions that that a lot of people asked, and I actually asked my questions in the chat, and I mistakenly did not type it in the Q&A section where then people can vote about how important it is for some of these questions that they had to be answered. So I'll probably, if anybody really wants to know, they should probably type it in their comment section. As they said, there's about close to 1,000 questions there, and I think they cover a lot of the different ones that people really wanted to see, and the Hangout is kind of like a great way for them to go ahead and demonstrate it live on video. I was just in the Bay Area about a week and a half ago. I think next trip, I'm going to have to make a trip out to the San Francisco office, check them out, and see these bags in person sometime. And maybe if you have anything that you would like me to try out when I head up there, please go ahead, comment down below in the video, and I'll just try to do something when I'm out there. Maybe I'll do some sort of live stream from my phone or something to demonstrate certain configurations and such, whatever I can bring up. But one of the other questions was, whether or not that was going to be uploaded on YouTube. Well, obviously, besides my live stream that I have going on right now, they will be uploading it in a couple of days, and it's going to be the original quality that is recorded on their DSLR. So you'll get the best quality coming straight from them, and you can go and check them out directly on the Peak Design channel. I will provide a link down below after I find out when they upload the original thing. Of course, it's probably not going to have any of the chat that's in there and the questions that they have. So yeah, I'm really impressed. I'm really happy that I pledged for the whole enchilada, because clearly, like always, they put an incredible amount of thought into their bags, and I've always been pretty impressed. Even if they weren't my main bag, for instance, the everyday carry backpack is not necessarily my everyday carry bag, but that just has more to do with the smallish items that I like to carry from my Micro Four Thirds kit. Doesn't seem to work quite so well in that scenario without some other extra stuff. But it's a really nice, handsome bag that really is super streamlined. Obviously, I noted in the chat that the designers stated that they had really designed this, of course, as a travel bag. So some of us who want to be able to carry something for miles at a time will probably need to look elsewhere, or maybe in a future Peak Design bag that's a little bit more technical. Just by looking at the design and how clean it is, obviously it's made for, just regular travel, airplane travel, maybe to hotels, taking the Uber, driving, taking a taxi or something, or taking public subway type transportation. So, but what I was really happy to note was that, when I did my very first video when they had just launched and they hadn't done any Hangouts, I really wanted to be able to say, hey, if I wanted to take this traveling and then take out the separate camera cubes and attach that to my Peak Design strap, whether or not that's going to be an issue. Obviously, they thought about this. And it seems kind of silly for me to even question that early on, because they actually have these little loops here where you can attach, the Peak Design straps, the anchors, and all that, so that you can go ahead and do that separately. That was actually noted back in the live stream. In case you missed that, you can go back and take a look in that, and that's definitely the use case scenario that I'm going to be doing. Unfortunately, the weatherproofness of the camera cubes, the zipper areas aren't as strong, and also they don't have a rainfly specifically separately for the camera cubes. That's something that I would probably recommend that they consider adding on in the future, even if it's not in part of this Kickstarter. And I know that they don't do any pledge goals where later on they'll unlock new Kickstarter goals or something. But what that might mean is that for my use, I'll get the backpack, I'll get the cubes, definitely have the medium cube, and then maybe the 5-liter sling that fits right on top just perfectly. And then, if I'm really going to be in super inclement weather where I'm going to have to worry about the rain a bit, since the waterproofness is not on the number 8 zippers by Zoom, I will probably just have to go ahead and find my own rainfly to stick on top of it. And there's other third-party companies that sell rainflies for them. It would have just been really nice to be able to have Peak Design also design those rainflies for those specifically and separately. I think that would have been just really awesome. But yeah, I'm really happy that I'm back for the whole enchilada. I don't feel like I need to make any changes. Before, I had some of my thoughts, and now it's very clear that it's going to be something that you're going to want to be carrying around with you all day long. But because I can easily use separate camera straps and attach to myself, and I probably won't be going one bag travel only. I'll probably usually have a roller anyway. I think this will hopefully be closer to finding yet that perfect bag that I can use on trips that are maybe a week long somewhere. So I'm really looking forward to using this. Unfortunately, I won't be able to start using this until, obviously until after the Kickstarter campaign is completed in about 50 some days, and also when they were able to get these bags out to everybody. Stated they're hoping for some time by Christmas. Okay. All right, so that's it for this video. Thank you very much for joining me on this live stream. There is a little chat. If you have any quick questions, feel free to go ahead and type it down there. If not, I will catch you in the next video, where I will probably be looking a little bit closer into the, I'm not sure if I'm going to do the camera cubes first. So I may do the camera cubes first, or I may do the compression cubes first. I think the compression cubes is going to be pretty simple because there's not a whole lot to it. Notice what's interesting is they didn't talk about the shoe pouch. I guess people just aren't as interested in the shoe pouch. And yeah, I mean, it looks to be really simple and just basically just to hold and protect your shoes. Okay, thank you very much for joining me. And again, I'm sorry about the quality of the stream. That is the way it comes from Kickstarter themselves and from Peak Design. So they will be uploading the original quality later. I will, of course, have a link down below, and then you can go ahead and check out the full-on quality with the audio in sync and everybody not sounding like R2-D2 as someone else pointed out. Please give this a like and subscribe for more. Thank you for your support, and I will catch you in the next